Boy, Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am. But right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Well, hello, Star Wars fans. It's great to see you all again in 2024. We're just getting started, and I've got some of my friends here to start the new year off on my live stream. But you know, every show, I start with a countdown of how many days until Christmas, and I'll bet you everybody's wrong. Everybody's wrong, because you're going to think there's 355 days until Christmas, 2024.
Is it leap year? Is it leap year? Is that how you're getting us?
No, there's 2 days. 2 days until Christmas, 2024. If you're Eastern Orthodox, which over 200 million people in this planet are, and many people ask Santa, how is it that you deliver presents to everybody on one night? I said, well,
Yeah.
because there's a couple 100 million people that celebrated on January 7th. That's why.
Weird.
You know? So
good for them, though.
Yeah, good for them.
They never get anything. What's their problem? Greedy.
Yeah. So the cool thing about the Eastern Orthodox way of doing things is they have 40 days of, like, think of it like Lent, where you give up eating meat or whatever it is for, leading up till Easter. It's sort of the same thing, but they do it for Christmas. So they have 40 days where they give up eating meat or whatever. And then on Christmas Day is the feast where they get back into eating whatever they want. So there you go. There's Sunday is coming up in 2 days. Yeah, you can have a big feast and eat all the things that you haven't been eating. Forget about those New Year's resolutions. It's Christmas. Have at it. So there you go.
What did you eat on Christmas?
What'd you eat? You asking me? I ate ham. I don't like ham, but it's what they made.
We had on Christmas Day, we had like lasagna kind of. We had ravioli, and it was great.
That sounds good. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's like an Italian Christmas.
Yeah. It was. It really was. And so,
Santa, did you have unlimited breadsticks?
Unlimited? No. But we had meat and non-meat versions here that my wife made for Christmas, and I got to share this because Jedi Mike asked this question, and it ties into the topic. He's you guys know, if you support the channel on Patreon, then there's a place on here where you can ask live stream questions, and you can submit them there. You can become a patron for just $1 a month, and so for $1 you can submit these kind of questions. And Jedi Mike came in and said, "What's the biggest Christmas present Santa got for Christmas?" And it says, as a hint before you answer, do you have to assemble it yourself, or the elves just keep working into 2024, right? And so, and there's the free the elves kind of thing. This is fun. I have to share, because you guys may have seen that Yachty gave me this Star Wars Santa custom.
And the beard is now the correct length.
Yeah. Look at that. They look the same. But Yachty gave this to me, and it's I got the Merry Christmas from Yachty there, and it's number 1, right? So this is great, and so Yachty got this for me for Christmas, which was fantastic, and an actual Lego set, which was likewise fantastic. But for Christmas, my kids got me one of these knockoff Lego sets. Have you seen them?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so they're knockoff Lego sets.
Legos or something.
This is here. No, this is gold. You guys are gonna. So in this set right here, this is made in what is it? Guangdong, China. We've got. Right. You can see Mrs. Claus right there. If you look at the back, right? Look at the back here.
Yeah.
You can see they've got Mr. Claus, right? Mm-hmm. They've got Mrs. Claus. That's great. We've got elk Christmas with the red nose.
All right.
So Santa's giving up on the reindeer. We're going with elk now.
Like Rudolph might be copyrighted. Just call it elk.
Just call it an elk. Yeah. And then we've got snowman Christmas, right? So this is all great. So I start working on it. Now with Legos, you may know when you start unpacking them, they've got little packages like step 1, step 2,
bag 1, bag 2,
yeah. So with these knockoff sets, they try to do the same thing, except they're random. So like for the Mr. Claus, so to speak, there were like 5 bags in there. They're completely unrelated. You have to like find pieces that are in different bags. They're like they don't get the concept, but it gets better. It gets better, my friends.
Okay.
You're going to love it. So instruction manual number 1, Father Christmas. That's great. Okay. Father Christmas. It's all good.
Yeah.
You ready for the big reveal?
Let's do it.
Mrs. Claus. No. That's Grandmother Christmas.
Oh, Grandmother Christmas.
Yeah, we've got Father Christmas and his mom.
His mom.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice he's still taking care of her. You know, he could have just moved on and been like a mythical creature. And he said, nah, I'm taking my mom with me.
Take a mom with me to the North Pole. Yeah. I don't know where Mrs. Claus went between the box that says,
Yeah, we Mrs. don't. I mean,
yeah.
She left him for Uncle Halloween or something. It's messy. And he had to move back in with mom. It's just messy.
Father Christmas and Grandma Christmas right there. I know in England they have Father Christmas, but I was unaware of the tradition that he didn't live with his wife. He lived with his grandmother, or with his mom.
And Meg was telling me that for on Christmas morning they have beans and Red Bull.
Yeah, I think that was something I ate during the pandemic, and then Rob was like, I bet Meg's eating beans and Red Bull.
And you were, right? That was
I felt called out. But Santa, more and more Brits are using Santa Claus rather than Father Christmas.
Well, probably because it's creepy that he lives with his mom. I don't know.
I think it's just the power of Coca-Cola.
Did you guys watch any good Christmas films over the holidays?
I watched a couple of the new ones. There's one with Eddie Murphy in it. That's pretty good, and there's another one that had who's the guy?
Ron Jeremy?
I want to say Chance the Rapper, but I don't think it's Chance the Rapper. It's got another guy in, like a hip hop singer, and it's a really good one too. Both of them are really, really good. So anyway, I thought this was a lot of fun. And Mike asked the question, Jedi Mike, thank you for the support on Patreon. That I didn't know that the British are a little different, but because they have boots on their cars. I don't know why the galoshes, they put those on their cars. It's odd, but there you go. You've got Father Christmas and Grandma Christmas right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad Meg joined me. She got nothing to say. She's like, you're being silly.
Little Grinch. A little bit of a Grinch this year, Meg.
Yeah,
A little bit of a Grinch.
We should make a movie called Grandma Claus.
Grandma.
We should. So
Melissa McCarthy's killed Santa, and now she has to take his place. Sorry.
And I saw we've got David Tree there from All the Cool Stuff. The one guy who knows what Star Wars Meg looks like, because as soon as she walked up to his booth there at the convention, he's like, "Oh, I know who you are." Right? He's the only guy.
Both
I
me
saw
and
her.
Dave know the actual story because I wasn't actually the one who went up to him. The person I was with went up to him, and so she checked in as my name, and then he kind of sees me. And he's like, "Wait a minute, you're Star Wars Meg."
There you go. There you go. Yes, it's true. It's a true story. But I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One is I've been gone a little while. Right, I took some time off. I got sick, and I was in the midst of Santa Claus season. And as I pointed out to Jason before the show, if you look at the thumbnail, let me bring this back up. You look at the thumbnail to the video we did right before Christmas, you'll see the beard is a good bit longer than it is right now. We've trimmed it up a little bit, and it was super busy during the holidays, in fighting off illness. I was coughing. I had a sinus infection. Things were terrible, and just so busy. And then just needed to take some time off. And YouTube has been a big pain in the keister. I get 3 to 4 copyright claims a day. 3 to 4 copyright claims a day on the old intro song. And it's killing me. Every day I have to go in and deal with that in YouTube to get that taken off. I had the license for it. I paid for it. I've shown them the receipts. I've shown them the license ID for it. I've submitted all that stuff over and over again. Yet every day that old intro is giving me copyright claims, not strikes, just claims. So they're taking any revenue that may generate from my videos, saying none of that matters.
And you can't just cut that section out for good anymore.
I can, but I used it for a little over a year,
and you paid for it. Yeah,
and I paid for it, and so now every day I've got to go trim it off. You know, every single day, 3 or 4 videos a day. I'm having to trim the intro out. Eventually, we'll get caught up, and those will all be gone. So that's one of the deals. And I got no revenue from YouTube for December because I didn't meet the minimum qualification. Right? You have to meet a payout minimum for them to send it to you, or it rolls over. Maybe I'll get paid in January. We'll see. But you know what's nice? Patreon. That's what's nice. Patreon, they take less of your money, the people who support the channel. Oh, Meg went away. They take less.
I just turned off the lights. She's been bad. It's okay. I'll turn it back on for her in a little bit.
They take less of your money, and they give me a payout, even if it's just $15. They'll give me $15. YouTube says no. You got to build up 100, or you get nothing. So, and YouTube's just a pain in the rear. So you guys, you could see. Like, and this is no fault of YouTube, but I'm down subscribers. I've lost 5 in the last month. Well, yeah, because I haven't done any streams. That's all fine. My gripe with them is these daggone copyright claims that I get every day, and them keeping your money, not passing it on. So you guys, if you could support on Patreon, it does a ton for the channel, and I try to pay back to you through creating content there as much as I possibly can. I've been really busy at work. I'm on a new project, and it keeps me busy plenty busy that I have very little time to do anything else. So appreciate the support. I truly, truly do. And just want to let you all know where I've been, what's been going on, and why I haven't been around. And there you go. Thank you, Matt Risman. Matt Risman, Meg, and Jason did a holiday stream. I was able to jump in for about 10 minutes, which was great. And Matt's a great guy. You guys, I appreciate all of you. I truly do. It means a ton to me. 2023 was difficult for me in many, many ways. My mental health and my physical health were not great. 2024 started off much better. I feel so much better, and I'm in a better place mentally, emotionally. I'm in a great place. So you guys, thanks for hanging with me all this time as I've been struggling. I appreciate those of you who have reached out to me personally and been in contact. It means the world. It really, really does.
Have you ever noticed how we've never seen Matt Risman and Risman in the same room at the same time before?
Interesting. So there you go. I've still got this lingering cough that's going around. So
Yeah.
I'm having to deal with that. And what I've seen, it can last 6, 8, 12 weeks.
Well, we like our cigars. So what do they want? We're men.
It's this respiratory daggone thing that got passed around during the holidays.
Same.
And
I have it too. I have it too, man. It's the kids. You're Santa Claus. I got kids.
100%. It's the kids. I blame the kids. I blame their parents mostly.
Filthy little cretins.
Because they got to have the picture with Santa, and so they bring they bring their kiddos, and they bring their kiddos.
See what you did, kids.
Then they get sick. You know, and Santa gets sick. It's tough. And tragically, one of the actual founder, the first president of the Buckeye Santas, friend of mine, he passed away the week of Christmas.
Sorry to hear that, man.
It's always tough when a Santa Claus passes, but to have a Santa Claus pass the week of Christmas was especially difficult for, you can imagine, for his family, his loved ones. So
I think maybe it was cool for him though. Like it's his favorite time. Like he made it to his favorite time.
No, I don't think he was. I don't think he was.
It wasn't good. Okay.
No, I don't.
I was trying to find a silver lining in a not situation. I think
the silver lining is his wife passed a couple years ago, and he's been on decline since. And so, those of us who are of faith and believe in Christianity and in heaven can take solace that he is in a happier place and comfort and reunited with his loved ones who have passed before. Yeah. So that's it's sad for us, and hopefully for him, much better place. So hey, we've got a little bit of Star Wars stuff to talk about. There's been some stuff going around, and I try to stay out of just the drama, and don't like to kind of get into the political side of things too much. Sometimes it can't be avoided, and even Meg today had to get into that kind of content. And Meg, I know you kind of avoid it a lot as well. But Sharmeen obeyed Shinoy. Sharmeen has kind of said some stuff that has some fans unhappy, and agree with her, disagree with her. I know. I saw your show yesterday about it, Jason. We try to focus on the content, and I thought about this years ago because there's a ton of Star Wars fans who say, "Hey, I don't care what the race, gender, species of the lead is. I just want good stories. I want great characters. I just want, and I don't care if they're a woman. I don't care if they're whatever race. In fact, give us other species. Ahsoka for example. Here you get a woman of color playing a different species, not just human. Great. And there are a ton of Star Wars fans who just want great content like that. So Sharmeen comes out and she says something to the effect of, hey, it's great that we're going to have a story shaped by a woman. And it caused all kinds of confusion, right?
How dare
what do
she?
you mean?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, what do you mean? We've got the Ahsoka series that was shaped by a woman. We had the sequels that were led by Rey. That's a woman.
No, Ahsoka wasn't shaped by a woman. It was made by Dave Filoni. He's a dude with the
Saying
dog.
from a character, the lead character, right?
Yeah, but she's talking about it from her creative perspective.
I know. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is there some people thinking what was about the characters? Oh, she's excited we're doing a movie about Rey. We already did movies with Rey. We're excited that it's a woman in the lead. No, we already had women in the lead. No, that's not what she was talking about. She was talking about the director herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's excited that she has this opportunity, and the way she expressed it came out as somewhat politicized. Right.
But in context, it wasn't. It was 8 years ago. 8 years ago on a documentary about women getting their faces burned off, right?
With a different thing. I think
the other thing
about her being like the first woman or whatever was from like 3 days ago.
Oh, that one. Yeah, okay.
Right. Was how she wants to make men feel embarrassed or whatever it was.
Uncomfortable, not embarrassed. She wanted to, but once again, the men feeling uncomfortable was in the context of women having their faces burned off with acid.
Right.
And she also did a documentary about women going to school, and it makes barbaric men in places some would call the third world uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's you're right to bring that up with this, because they are getting pushed together, but people aren't paying attention. And Meg's absolutely right. The point that I was starting with was just the recent comment she made this week, where she said, hey, we're going to shape, I'm excited to have a woman shaping Star Wars, essentially. And they're like, wait, we've had Deborah Chow, we've had Bryce Dallas Howard, we've had,
but not a film. It's once again, we're catering to the lowest common denominator of the dumbest thinking.
Yes, we are. But it's also the world we live in. And I think about it and I think, oh, it would be great if directors, people associated with franchises learned the same lesson that like college football coaches have learned. You don't want to provide chalkboard material for the opponent. And unfortunately, we live in a highly politicized culture where somebody saying something 8 years ago or 12 years ago or 20 years ago can come up as relevant and cause a backlash amongst a portion of the fandom against a franchise because of something that's not even current or relevant.
But this is bad editorializing is the problem. Is like, as an editor, you go and you say, you know what, this is from 8 years ago, context. You don't just take the stupidest thing, the stupidest person you could find says, and then turn that into an article and be like, did my work legitimate? It is illegitimate work for every person who put that article out, reported on it, to not have done their homework. And almost none of them did. Almost no one did the homework because they wanted to make you mad.
The thing about all of this is, and this was the point I brought up in my video today and when I first covered it a couple of days ago, I'm not interested in like the culture war politics side. It's more the fact that women or creators generally in Star Wars, when they talk about their project, have always kept it on topic. When Deborah Chow was talking about the Kenobi show, even if you don't like that series, she always was talking about what she wants to do in that time period. Dave Filoni, years before Ahsoka, when we first saw her in Mando 2, he was making a really big point of what he wants to do with the character. Nothing about anything Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has said in any interview relates to the substance of the film, and that's my problem with it. She doesn't seem interested in being like, we're in a new era and we want to do this with Rey. To me, it's like more about her.
No, she can't.
Well,
she is. I guarantee you. I don't know 100%, but I could guarantee you 100% what she can say is, I'm excited to be the first woman director of a Star Wars film ever. And that's all she can say. She's not allowed to talk about anything. Any kind of thing that she says would be mined. There would be a Star Wars Megan adjacent show about it. The very moment it happened, and it hasn't even been written yet. She can't say anything.
That's the other thing. She's not the writer of this movie.
No. She's
a director. So much of the way that The Mandalorian is led by Jon Favreau, especially season 1, season 2, that was his story he was telling. Dave was along there as well. But we then had a long list of directors, fantastic directors that came in. They didn't write the episodes they directed. They directed their episodes. Those stories were already written. They were already storyboarded. There was, this is where this is going. Come in and direct it. And during the direction phase of it, they would alter things because it just wasn't flowing right or things weren't quite working out. But they didn't write it. We need to understand that that's Sharmeen's role here. She's the director. She's not the writer-director. So whatever that story is, she's not writing it. She may be involved as far as like she's the principal director, but she's not writing it. And for people to lose focus of that, I think it's an important part of it.
We've already done this. This is what is so boring about it. This is the same game that they played with Rian Johnson.
Yes.
Where they went back and they found an old clip of Ryan when he's like just a young buck going, I want to make people uncomfortable with my art. And like nobody writes a song or makes a movie that doesn't want to elicit emotion. So if you dig right, you will find that from anybody. I bet you J.J. Abrams, as a 25-year-old edgelord, said the same exact thing. I bet you it's out there somewhere waiting to be found.
Perhaps. Well, people found the quotes.
What kind of man? What kind of like masculine man who's like, looking at his jaw and like stuff like that's like, oh man, some like summer popcorn movie director said something and now I'm outraged. Like that's wild to me.
Yeah,
who cares?
The point is the people found Dave Filoni when he's at a women's conference saying things that very feminist supporting. They've gone and picked lots of stuff from Kathleen Kennedy saying feminist kind of agenda items, things about wanting to lead Star Wars and have more women directors. One of her goals as president of Lucasfilm was to have a woman direct a movie. There's tons of quotes you can go get. The thing I want to focus on and the thing I want to be aware of is what is the thing about? What, like here, I'd prefer to talk about the actual content of Star Wars. Let's talk about Star Wars. Mm-hmm. I don't care about their agendas. I don't care about social political side of things. The issue is that it makes it really, really difficult to talk about the content when you've got this noise. And Jason, I don't disagree with you at all regarding.
No, it's just once again, it's a catch-22.
Yeah,
it has not been written.
I know.
Not done. There's nothing that can be said. Therefore, they have created a catch-22 environment where content, culture war. I got her. And it's just like
I get that. That's the world we live in.
You know what I mean?
Look, that's this.
No. That's the world that we've decided to editorialize in this way.
Yeah.
As long as we accept that kind of editorializing, I'm sorry, but people on the internet don't do their homework. They don't look at when things were sourced from. They go, oh, so-and-so said it. I get to cite them. It's on them. It's not my problem. And that's why all of these content creators suck.
Well,
that's why they're all trash.
I have a question for you, Jason.
Like Bespin is the only writer I will even follow, and he sucks. Oh, sorry, Bespin. Sorry. I love you, Bespin. Sorry, May, go on.
I just wanted to ask you this question. So I have this theory that it doesn't matter what she says, because by its nature, the Rey movie is going to be feminist. By the nature of having this female Jedi Master, you can't avoid, I guess, if you want to call it feminist or whatever, you're not going to avoid what Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is trying to convey.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see how they're going to do the Rey film any other way. Even if you got, Taika Waititi or someone else to direct the film, if Rey's going to be the center of the movie as this Jedi Master trying to rebuild the Order, then you're inevitably going to have something that certain people will call woke or feminist or whatever else.
My thing is that all of the Disney stuff, it's such a main. They play to the mainstream all the time. When they were making the movies that like South Park is roasting them over, and rightfully so to some extent and collectively, they are playing to the mainstream at the time. This whole Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy bullet point of what she's allowed to say or how she said that came out of the fact that Twitter threw a collective temper tantrum at the fourth or fifth white male who was put into the role of director on a Star Wars project. And then they were like, what is wrong with you, Kathleen Kennedy? Why are you not ever helping women? And then so in response to that, she goes and she gets tries to get Deborah Chow. She tries to get a couple of more directors involved on the TV shows. And then on the film front, goes and tries to get Patty Jenkins, and then it falls through. And then they pivot to Obaid-Chinoy. Hey. And that's where we find ourselves today, where you can't please everyone at all. And it is inherently politicized by the fact that if you only have white male directors, then that is a political choice unto itself, isn't it?
Just a second. I got to stop. My daughter dropped in. K-Million. Oh. Kayla came here and spent about 3 weeks with us. It was great to have her here. She just traveled all the way back to Kansas City, and she dropped in to say hello. Good to see you, Kayla. And
bootlegger. She's a bootlegger.
We've been chatting a lot. I got a new T-shirt from her and her boyfriend, Chewbacca T-shirt. It's great.
Her boyfriend's Chewbacca, or
no, the T-shirt came from them. That they got me. He's trying to string Christmas lights, and you know how frustrating that can be. He's unhappy. Yeah, that's it. You got it. So, good to see. And Kayla's in the off season there from Worlds of Fun out in Kansas City, and so there you go. And and Rob made it into the chat. Good to see you, Rob Sketchcraft.
Someone Thank say you. Nepo Santa. Someone say Nepo Santa. Huh?
Look, Ross, my little baby. Look.
No, Jason, can I ask you something based on what you just said? The interesting thing about Kathleen Kennedy and all of these kind of establishment Hollywood legacy people is I find it funny when criticisms are levied at them that they're like these extreme left-wing whatever, because it's the opposite. They're capitalists. They're trying to make money.
Yeah.
So that's the irony I find with people who will say they're trying to sink their company into the ground.
Yeah, but Meg, the same people that are these same right wingers that are touting the current South Park episode with Kathleen Kennedy, you know, were also cheering when South Park had George Lucas and Steven Spielberg raping a stormtrooper. Like that, you know what I mean?
Indiana
like,
Jones. These
people are nihilists. At the end of the day, they're contrarianisms, like almost weaponized contrarianists. They don't actually believe in any of this stuff. They really don't. I've never seen any consistent. I've been following this since the Ain't It Cold News talkback since 1997, 6-ish, around there. You know,
that's where it began. That sounds right.
Yeah. I've never seen any consistent argument to this, other than, hey, perhaps Lucas should get someone to help write his movies, blah, 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 blah. But now they want Lucas to run everything. These people wanted Lucas out of town 10 years ago. They were cheering when Lucas sold it to Disney.
They were cheering when they watched People versus George Lucas. And they're like, yeah, you said my 100%. Side. And then they got a bunch of like dolts on the other side. That was so stacked. I was so mad when that came out. And I didn't see that documentary. Get me in it.
I'll give you a more recent example, because you can go, well, Rob, that was 20 years ago. This is now. All right. Well, you know, last summer and the summer before that, when James Mangold was out there giving interviews about being the first person other than Steven Spielberg to direct an Indiana Jones movie, no one said that was politicized. That was just a fact.
Good point.
He's the first person since Steven Spielberg to direct it. Now, did it turn out that well? No. And we can only wait.
It did. It's not that bad.
It was horrible, Jason. Ruined Indiana Jones.
So
what? No, but that's what I'm saying is, like, it's an objective fact that she is the first female director and to direct a Star Wars film. That all being said, Santa, when I want to comment really quick, I'll stop talking. But you mentioned how she's not writing this. The big mistake that people are missing is she's a documentarian, and documentarians craft the narrative in the editing room. And I'm telling you right now, like, the shape of this film and the voice of this film is going to be crafted in the editing room. There was an article I read not too long ago, and even Script Notes podcast, the showrunners for screenplay writers and showrunners for like Chernobyl and stuff like that. I forget their names. We're saying that documentarians make really good, translate to film pretty well because they can go into the editing bay and find the story even if it isn't working. Whereas these days it's like, oh, it's not working, spend another $100 million on reshoots, right? Like a movie, if a movie was just shooting the script and that's all you needed, you wouldn't need editors. You would just shoot the script as is in order and it'd be done. But it just doesn't work that way. So, that really is this director's strength is in that. And she's won awards for those documentaries. Jason's the only. Look, I haven't even seen them because I'm lazy, but I will watch it because now I want to have an educated argument about this because Jason did see them and did see the last one, and I know the topic, and it's really tough to watch this stuff. By the way,
the thing about her documentaries when you watch them is you'll get shots in them that you don't. If you watch documentaries, you don't get it. Like I talked about yesterday, there's one where it's like the corner of a room looking down, and you see like the people walk in, and she has it set up, and then like they're talking in there, and you're just like, oh yeah, and then like the exposition shots that you get in between scenes and stuff like that are cinematic, and you just don't really get that in your standard documentary, I think. So what I think is likely to happen on this film is they're going to write it is what they want it to be, and then I think that the way that she shoots it is going to be like a documentary style, but her documentarian style, like kind of take. I think
the other argument, Jason, is well, she's never directed anything before, and I don't want a first-time director directing Star Wars. Then I'm like, well, then you should go delete Return of the Jedi from your freaking catalog of your OG films, because last I checked, Richard Marquand wasn't out there directing major studio films before he went and took up the reins on that film.
Right. But that's because they get to appeal to the auteur theory of just the lazy version of it. Of George was just
let's talk about George Lucas and the auteur theory. I got a quote from Lucas in 2014 on Charlie Rose, where he says at the beginning, this is Lucas. Although the beginning of the studios, the entrepreneurs ran the studios, were sort of creative guys. They would just take books and turn them into movies and do things like that. Suddenly, all these corporations were coming in, and they didn't know anything about the movie business. The studio went back to saying, well, we don't trust you people, and we think we know how to make movies. Lucas finally said, the studios change everything all the time, and unfortunately, you don't have any imagination, and they don't have any talent. So, Lucas, do they want a studio? The Star Wars fans we want Lucasfilm to have a plan, and we don't want the directors to have any say in it. We just want the plan to be executed, and the directors should just shut up and make the stuff. And then when it comes out, well, we want an auteur. We don't like an auteur. We want a person with a vision. You can see it in the Marvel movies. Even I follow a guy, Willems. Anyways, man, the conversation was that Marvel doesn't put any creative people behind the director's chair. Remember Sam Raimi? They would say remember Sam Raimi? They don't do that anymore. So they put Sam Raimi in charge of Doctor Strange, and then everyone hates it. I don't want Sam Raimi back in my Marvel movies. It's old. Blah 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 blah. Too much of a voice. Doesn't have this tone I'm looking for. Okay,
let me try to pull this back in just a little bit, because this is part of the world we live in. It's part of what we're dealing with. It is going to be a big part of Star Wars going forward.
Only if we let it. Only if the editors let it.
That's part of what I'm trying to stop. Right?
200 people are letting this happen.
I don't want to spend every hour on my show talking about this. Right?
Yeah.
I don't. I don't enjoy it. It's not what I started the channel for, and it's not what I want to do. And that's the basis of my complaint about what Sharmeen said, is that in college football, they coach the players and the coaches and everybody not to give chalkboard material to the other team. And like it, dislike it, agree with it, disagree with it, want to fight it, don't want to fight it. The fact of the matter is we live in this, and it's pervasive, and it makes me crazy. All the things Jason said, you're absolutely right. All of the content we get
reminds me of like the idea of like, don't let women dress this way or they're going to get raped, instead of teaching guys not to rape. It's that same kind of like line of thinking.
I get what you're saying.
We got to be better at it, as opposed to being like, that's just the world.
I get it. Right. That's what I'm saying. And I understand.
Yeah.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
Well, then, Sana, if you don't want to talk about, and I don't like using the word content because content is drivel, right? If you don't want to talk about the films, if you only want to talk about the films they are making, then you can't have any of these conversations until this film comes out, right? Or there's a trailer at the very least, because there's nothing to talk about. So why even entertain it?
Well, I brought it up just to say, I wish we didn't have to have these discussions. It's pervasive in the community. Meg covered it on her show today. I've seen on practically every single Star Wars content creator across the platform, and I hate it. I hate it. And I wish it didn't exist. I don't want it to exist, and I don't want to spend every hour of my show talking about it. I bring it up just because it's pervasive. It's everywhere. You cannot ignore it.
Santa, it's not. Let me tell you how it's not anywhere. It's not everywhere, and it's actually nowhere. I'll go to the mall right now. Okay, let's go take a trip to the mall, and let's go ask everyone buying a Star Wars product or looking at Star Wars if they even know who Dave Filoni is.
Oh, I know. I get you. But
they don't.
Yesterday, I was watching NBC News. I had it on the TV while I'm coding and debugging code. I actually made a huge breakthrough yesterday. It was super exciting on my job, but boring. Anyway, I got NBC News on, and you know what NBC News did? They brought up a thing, woke wars. And then they came in and they brought in some experts, and they had the NBC person talking about what is going on in the Star Wars universe. And the guy saying, oh, it's the same old Star Wars fandom doing the same old Star Wars fandom stuff.
But these are the same channels that were saying that George Lucas was racist against Mexicans because he named a planet Camino back in 2000 and whatever. Like, yeah,
and
who cares?
Jar Jar was racist and all of that. I get it. But it just makes me crazy. I hate that it is such a part of our culture that we can't just be talking about speculation about what this next thing might be, because nobody knows. We don't know what the Rey movie is going to be about. And Meg's talked about it multiple times. I've heard it on other channels as well. Jason's brought it up. How do we talk about this movie's going to be exciting or it's not going to be exciting if we don't even know what it's about? And,
but the fandom keeps saying, the counteract to that, Santa, is that fandom will say, well, and when they talk about things, why don't they just shut up and not even release a trailer? Just drop the movie. Don't say anything. I want to go in completely surprised. Like, and this is the mainstream fans saying it. They say this. They say whatever they want to say to be contrary to the thing being said. The interesting argument at this point really is, will they even have a movie out next year? You know, like that's because that's it. Because we really don't know if they will.
We don't. And we don't know what it's going to be about. And I was listening to TRB, right, the Resistance broadcast, and one of the points that they made, which I've heard Thor Skywalker and lots of other people make as well, is this movie just can't be Rey's Jedi Academy. This movie just can't be.
No, we don't know the premise of the movie.
We don't, and it needs to be a compelling story. It needs to have a compelling protagonist, compelling antagonist, right? It's got to have some point to exist to its existence. It can't just be fluff. It's not going to carry on the Star Wars brand alone. That'll certainly get it plenty of ticket sales in the theater.
It'll get it $200 million. It has to get the other $400 million. It has to be intriguing.
Yeah. So
it can't be solo, right, Jason?
No, it can't be solo.
Not
in that era anymore.
What Sancho's saying is where I'm coming from with my perspective on what Sharmeen said. If Lucasfilm was aware of what they need to accomplish to get fans excited to go back to the cinema, which I'm sure plenty are, but the perception of the sequel trilogy wasn't great. It was divisive. I don't think anyone can deny that. And you would hope she would be, even if, you know, they haven't started filming or whatever, you would hope there would be a way to word it to just get fans excited for another Rey movie.
Yeah. And that's what they need to do. And perhaps, and my hope and prayer is that they do. And like I see Martin's comment there, and I've seen this a lot. And there was a big thing that went around Twitter, a week or two ago, because people, and Twitter is Twitter, and Twitter's going to Twitter, and in a certain content creator stirred the hornet's nest and got everything going. But
is he stupid and drives a Lamborghini?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's tons of fans who love Rey's character. They show up at Galaxy's Edge every day of the week, year round. And these little kids come up dressed as Rey. There are people who show up. I went to a Renaissance festival near Cincinnati, Ohio. And you got somebody dressed up as Rey Skywalker walking around in a Renaissance festival, an adult woman. They're fans of her who show up at conventions. Like we went to the Indiana Comic Con last year, met a couple of our channel members there. We had Yachty came all the way up from Orlando, Florida, and a good friend come from just northern Indiana come down to visit us as well. Just had a great time there. And guess what? Lots of people dressed up as Rey. So are there fans of Rey out there? Absolutely. Are there people who hate her? Yes, there are. But I hope that the movie that they come out with is fantastic, and that people get super excited about it. And for that to happen, they've got to have a compelling story.
Well, we also need to contextualize this. What happens today doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's completely and the other thing to contextualize here is every time Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy goes outside, she doesn't get pulled aside by some dolt at Lucasfilm PR. It's like, okay, Sharmeen, what are we talking about today? Okay, here's what you're gonna say.
Okay,
are we ready to go, boo? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
they're not in a PR section of this movie. Therefore, there is absolutely and somebody just going like, hey, and her going like, oh, it's great to be the first woman director. That should not make anybody upset. Anybody got upset by that is nuts.
Well, and let me bring up something about the movie that we know. We know that it's likely not to have Kylo Ren in it, and we know that because there was an interview, and Adam Driver was asked, "Hey, has anybody talked to you about being in the another Star Wars movie?" He's
and he
like
was shirtless and wet, like he is in the movie, and he's just like,
"Yeah, that's what he walks around like that."
Yeah, like a big old. You can play a handball on his chest. You can just be like,
But he's the way
of water.
I don't know anything. Nobody's talked to me. I'm not in a Star Wars, right? So, and I'm not putting a spin on it that some people have put on that spin.
Look how tiny he is. Look at my little baby though below me. Look at him.
It was nice to get some clarification. Hey, I'm not being.
But he would say that though. He could be in the movie as the climax of the movie. He's going to say that.
We talked about this before as well, and this is something in more context with Finn.
John Boyega.
Yeah. There's a lot of speculation that John Boyega's folks are in negotiation with Lucasfilm's folks to come up with a
fan math.
Yeah. Well, there's speculation. There's speculation.
There's speculation, and then but the stories are all fake and fan math.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But I'm not even going there. The same thing could be going on. The same thing could be going on here with Adam Driver as well, right? His folks could be in negotiation with Lucasfilm's folks, and him saying I'm not in a thing will help with the negotiations to come up with.
They're all going to be in it.
That brings him to the table. We don't know, but it's kind of good to get this, because we now can talk about, okay, if we're not bringing back, there's been a lot of speculation. Would they bring Kylo Ren back? Would they raise him from the dead through World Between Worlds or some other mechanism? Might they bring him back as a Force ghost who is connected to Rey in some way? And
they didn't use protection in the World Between Worlds, and now Rey is pregnant. Oh my God!
Well, there's that too. There's some talk that right when he gave his life to her to revive her, that he added another life to her as well. But
false insemination is the new power of the threequel trilogy.
yeah.
So they call him Adam Pile Driver for a reason, guys.
Oh my God! I can't wait to put. I'm writing this all down. This is good stuff. Hold on, I got 2 movies to make, so we gotta fill it up with something. Santa, know what I'm saying?
Hey, Martin, thank you for your service. I was active duty Army, and many of my friends were.
So was Rob.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, many of my friends were deployed. No, it's funny. I heard Rob talk about the thing where they brought him up and they applauded it because look, we had somebody we've got a veteran.
Gomer Pyle. We got Adam Pile Driver and we got Gomer Pyle.
No, look, I had the same sort of thing happen to me when I was active duty Army, and we were they bring the Army band out and we're playing at all kinds of different things, right? We went to basketball games, hockey games, anything, right? They would, because it was this during the war, and a bunch of kids come up and they want our autographs. I'm like, I'm some dude that plays trombone and like, what?
And your social security number, please.
No, it's just like, okay, I'm autographing,
you drew first blood, not me.
Memorabilia for kids, and I've got nothing to do with anything. I'm trying to play trombone, but so it was funny when you were talking about that because I felt the same way. But here we got a guy that actually was patrolling in Afghanistan. So a dude that was actually deployed and a dude that was actually doing something out in the field. But thank you for that, Martin. And he said, we're passed by a village and kids started yelling, "Stormtroopers!" And he got confused. I love that.
Hey, that's strangely political.
Yeah, I was active duty Army. I was in the 74th United States Army Band, stationed out of Fort Benjamin Harrison, Indianapolis, for the bulk of my career. Of course, I went to basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and then I was at the Navy Amphib Base in Little Creek, Virginia, and Little Creek Naval Amphib Base in Virginia for a while. That's where the Special Forces, the Navy SEALs, do a lot of their training at Little Creek. And so there's nothing like juxtaposition of Navy SEALs working out across the road from the band. It's great.
Yeah, well, I played a lot of Battle for Naboo while they were doing PT, so I get it.
Me and Nick met when the CIA and MI6 did like something together. We can't talk about it. It's off the books. It's Black Ops stuff. You wouldn't understand.
I knew you saw Mission Impossible, Jason.
And that's how we get Star Wars.
I like the 6th one. It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rogue Nation.
I heard about when Meg first saw you behind the BB-8 poster.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So anyway, all the speculation about Kylo Ren's involvement, I think, comes from a place where people are intrigued by his character in the sequels, and they want to see more of that character develop, more of the story.
Needs to kill more kids, right, Jason?
Well,
that's what we need.
The thing though is that you see a lot of people like him, the way he's speaking, and people going, "He's never going to come back." Like the Ferrari film he made, I think is like $22 million. I think it's like a $50-60 million movie at least. I don't know the exact budget on it or whatever, but he'll be asking, "Hey, Kathy, so what do you think Ben Solo's doing over there in the afterlife?" I think that is because he's done what was it, 6 million BC? That movie can't get arrested. And then he did a bunch of like in terms of like the popcorn, like wanting to raise his box office. He's not doing it. at all. He's going negative. He was going to be in the Fantastic Four movie. He had that on the table, couldn't connect with the character. That was his shot. There's no way they were like offering him that role and he turns it down and they're like, this guy, they had to go. This guy's a pain in the ass. When he
at this point, his career is mirroring more Mark Hamill's without the voice work.
Yeah,
like
that's true.
Perfectly honest.
No. Mark Hamill got Corvette Summer. This guy's been working with
Annie Potts, dude. You know what I mean? Come on.
It didn't make money.
What? It predates Knight Rider, Jason. It predates Knight Rider.
No. He wasn't doing, he wasn't doing Ford and Ferrari. I mean, he wasn't, or not for whatever this movie was called. No, Adam Driver's worked with like A-list directors and stuff since then. Mark Hamill didn't get it, but it is he's gone back to his before. His career right now feels like he never did Star Wars. Like he graduated from Girls on HBO into Hollywood. That's what his career actually looks like. It's like right now, I don't see any Star Wars benefit to his general career. Though, you know what I mean?
I don't think that's fair. I think
really?
Star Wars put him on the map for a lot of people.
No, Girls put him on the map. And that's how he got Star Wars. Is Kathleen Kennedy's like, I want him to take me in the shower and do what he did to that weirdo girl. And then that's how he ends up getting noticed. And so it's like the people who graduate.
People don't watch that. People watch Star Wars. That's where they came familiar with him, and they like Kylo Ren's character. And a lot of people.
What has he done since Star Wars? Then, Xana? That's
exactly like Mark Hamill, Jason. That's what I said.
Well, he's having close Star Wars troubles. But what I'm saying is, if you took Star Wars away from his career, the movies he's doing now is exactly what the critically acclaimed person would be doing from a golden age of television show. On HBO.
Harrison Ford would be making Working Girl, the mosquitoes thing.
You're missing the point. What I'm saying
Indiana
is,
Jones.
anybody on Succession could have Adam Driver's career today.
Okay, real quick. Hold on. People were wondering where did Meg go? Meg messaged us. She's having her internet is flaring up and down. So
that's a great excuse. I gotta write that.
She messaged about 7 minutes ago saying, "Hey, my internet is acting up." So we may get her back. We may not. Just explaining why she dipped. So people be wondering, hey, what happened to Meg? Real quick, I was a Sergeant E5 when I got out. I did 5 years in the active duty Army. Rob, what rank were you when you got out?
Well, I was E1 for 3 years until they forced. Look, I had a weird situation, Santa. Right? So
okay.
I think they finally got me out at E3, but I should have been E4. Let me tell you what happens in the military, Santa. You get injured, they don't want you to do anything.
Yeah.
So,
I know. I started as an E3 in my first day in boot camp. Yeah.
I found there's more power in no rank. Trust me, Jason. Yeah. When you have no rank, you got nothing to lose. Like
Kansas City, that's where Kayla lives. Kansas City. How about them Chiefs? I don't like the Chiefs, but that's me. Do you think we'll have Ray having trouble with the dark side? Well, so. Yeah, Jason. Yes, I get where your passion is. I'm just trying to get us off of that, right? I'm trying to get us off of that. And speculate a little bit about what
it's so good.
Speculate a little bit about what the Ray movie could be involved with, and the fact that Adam Driver.
What is the protagonist of the Ray movie? Is like the big question. The antagonist.
Right.
I mean, like
antagonist. We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. But at this point, Adam Driver said he's not in it, and some of the speculation about him coming back alive or being a Force ghost or Ray having his baby, I don't like at all. I don't like any of that. Mike Porter, Michigan or Washington, whoever's playing Michigan is who I root for. I was a Bama fan for that play right at the end of the regulation when Michigan muffed the punt and it fell there at the goal line and the guy picked it up. That was that close from me being a Bama fan. I wanted them to beat them, but then they lost. So Yeah. No, I'm excited about the potential of a Ray movie. I desperately want them to come up with a compelling story that gets fans excited from everywhere, right?
Grogu
And
should be the bad guy. We should get
Grogu.
Dark Grogu.
Yeah,
that's
and
what
I honestly believe that Damon Lindelof has a compelling story. There's almost, just looking at the pedigree of that dude's work and storytelling over the years, even if you don't like the outcomes of the work that he did, I would say the majority of the things he's done has always been like, yeah, it deserves to exist.
Yeah.
And that's going to be his contribution to this film, no matter how much it changes, is I think the plot and the general like story is going to be probably from what he concocted over those 2 years he was on that film. Either way you cut it.
Yeah, but then people complain about Lost, and the same people then tell me that Flash seasons 1 through 9 were the best ever. I'm like,
what they're actually going to do, Rob, is they're going to go and they're going to like find something that they don't like, and then they're going to say that Damon Lindelof didn't do that.
Yeah.
And that will be the thing. And it'll just be like, oh, okay. So when you see that coming, just remember it's just a countdown until it does.
It's the grift. Like a lot of people, that's the grift, and part of it is the nature of the social media itself. The other news. So the Ray movie, we could speculate all day long, but the fact of the matter is, we don't know who the main protagonist, antagonist, storyline. We don't know any of that. The only thing that we can have anything to go off of at all is that this week Adam Driver said, I don't think I'm in it. So maybe he's not in it. Maybe he will be in it. So we don't know the same thing about anybody else associated with it. I certainly hope John Boyega gets attached to it. I would love to see John Boyega, Finn and Rey moving the Jedi Order forward in some compelling manner. Right? It's got to be a compelling manner. And right now we just don't know. So it's not fair to really go too deep into that. There was something else exciting I thought happened. Something I thought really, really exciting is that Mandalorian was ranked most watched streaming original of 2023
by an app.
Yeah, but anyway, that's good news. I don't care where it comes from. It's good news.
No, it's cooked. It's cooked.
Cooked how?
Yeah. It's based off of that app sample. So the people who use that app like The Mandalorian, as opposed to Mandalorian being the biggest show.
Good. I'll take it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a junk metric.
Yeah.
I wish it was true. But it's not.
Like I'm
going to give Star Wars its wins when it gets it, and when it doesn't, really, like this one, I don't think this is an earned one. I could be wrong because I didn't spend 10 days on it, but I looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, this is a trash metric. This isn't really like news.
When I was reading it and watching some of the content on it, it also seems that it was amongst the most pirated shows. It's one of the most viewed shows, and that it gets any attention at all.
Yeah.
And I saw the full list. Here's
in the same way, Santa, that when Avatar is the highest grossing film of the year, it's also the most pirated film of the year. Like the two things happen at the same time. So
that's the point. That's exactly right. So in here, Mandalorian, Disney Plus, it occupies a lot of the space in here, right? It's got Mandalorian, Loki, Secret Invasion, which I watched that. I didn't get all the hate that it got, but I also was like,
people wanted a spy Winter Soldier thing. Santa, that's what they wanted.
Okay. Well, I was like, it's fine. It's fine. Ahsoka and The Witcher's Netflix. So not bad for Disney Plus if you could put anything in here, right? But there you have
Bring on the Lizzo, man. Let's do it. Jack Black. Let's do it. I want to do it.
Yeah, like I said, this is like our metric says this is the top shows, and it's just it doesn't reflect reality whatsoever. It's not a slide on the show. It just has to do with the people that use that app and that sample. So it's like how we always critique the numbers that come out of like Samba and stuff. Samba's only a sample, and then look at what Disney says their numbers are versus. Well, this is the same situation again. So.
The
It's
numbers
kind
all
of-
trust is when royalties are being paid off those numbers.
True.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get my Disney Shield checks, but I can't let you see those because then the jig is up.
I
I
knew
wish.
it. That's
I
how
wish-
you have all those skins.
Mhm. Sure.
Related to Mandalorian season 3 is Mandalorian season 4. Brendon Wayne has said that it's a series.
He also said he loved me forever, and he didn't.
Martin's fascinated with my military career. I earned an ARCOM, an Army Commendation Medal. I had the Army Achievement Medal. Whatever else. So the ARCOM was the highest medal I earned, and my MOS was 02 Echo.
And I once fought ninjas
You're Echo.
coming in through the window. That was great. That really happened.
Yeah, I wasn't
What happened, Jason?
Kosovo.
Ninjas.
All I had was a knife and a cigarette and a piece of rope. I had to go through one by one. I solid snake.
That sounds like CQ duty, Jason.
Hey, I don't know what that is, man, because I'm in a different. I've been right into programs you don't know about. So,
Sorry. Yeah.
No. So Brendon was saying, look, from what his involvement is, and Brendon Wayne has some credibility.
That's
in
the
this
guy
space.
from Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's the one, right?
No.
no, and that was the thing about that, like
That's Wayne
that,
Brady.
when I wrote the article about that, I was like, this is not what's happening today. Super bold. This isn't this is something that is being discussed if this strike goes on.
Right.
And then since then, another scooper has heard the same thing, I guess, and then reported the same thing. But like literally 4 months after I heard it, when I'm like, that's not the plan that they're going with. They didn't need to. The strike ended. And that was the caveat to my story, is if the strike ends when it's supposed to, which was the October thing, then we're in an okay place. And we ended up in the okay place.
Yeah. And so I just think it's again, I've been on vacation. I've been out. And I just wanted to cover it real quick because I'm excited about that. Mandalorian season 4 being a series. Also, looking very much forward to an Ahsoka season 2. However, just yesterday, I believe it was, Rosario said nobody's talked to me about nothing, which doesn't mean there isn't an Ahsoka season 2. It just means that she hasn't been signed to an Ahsoka season 2 yet.
They have to align the Ahsoka season 2 deal with the movie deal. Probably, realistically, that's probably where we're at with this, because everything that we've ever heard this whole time has been Mando and Ahsoka are going to lead into that film. And so you can't go. So if they go and they're going to have to make a deal for the film, they have to make a deal for, you know what I mean, for the series as well. So we're not to a point yet, I think, where that needs to happen. So I think it's just, we're just in that liminal space. But I could tell you though, of all of the things ever in the last couple of years that we're supposed to get a season 2, I never heard Boba was supposed to get a season 2, and Ahsoka was heavily implied. Acolyte Acolyte should have a season 2, and the only other thing that I ever knew that was Disney was like, make a sequel, and they didn't, was Kenobi. And that's they are stalling out due to like creative reasons. They're saying they don't have a concept they believe in. That's where that one's at. So I'm not expecting that to happen anytime soon. Hope so though.
Gotcha. Well, I'm expecting an Ahsoka season 2. I'm very hopeful for an Ahsoka season 2, and kind of counting on it. But it
also might be Ezra. It might just be like the marketing on Ahsoka. You know what? Ahsoka isn't the rock star we thought she was. I'm just saying they might go like that. Well, let's do the Ezra Bridger show, and then it's the same thing. You know, like it might. That's probably what they're going to do because they don't have to pay the people for season 2.
Well, I'm also think it's worth bringing up again. I've mentioned this before, but it's been a while. That the Filoni movie does not necessarily mean the culmination, the conclusion of the Mandoverse. And there's a presumption, because it said it was going to tie all these storylines together, that it was going to end that story arc. I am under no illusion that that would be the case. That coming out of that, we very well may have additional seasons of Mandalorian, additional seasons of Ahsoka, additional seasons of Skeleton Crew, additional seasons of new shows that come out of it. Like, there's a whole spin-off that could come out of that. I don't think the movie ends the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
At all. And not at all.
I think it's going to graduate it to film. Like I said, I think the Mando quote verse is going to taper off on TV as that film becomes a thing. I don't think you could have Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau making films and running like knowing where the production has been in the last year, like when they were doing Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and Mando 3, looking at that year, if you add a film onto that, it breaks. It falls apart. It is impractical, if not nearly impossible. So I think that if that film connects, I think they go on just to make films, and then Acolyte takes over the TV. All of the Acolyte era becomes the dominant TV.
I like what you're saying, and I think that makes a ton of sense. Mm-hmm. The only question I have is if the Peridia has set up a different galaxy to start new stories in that could be spin-off series.
Oh, the Rock Lobster series.
Sure.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Well,
Rock Lobsters.
That's a whole galaxy, though, right? We're not just
galaxy of lobsters.
One planet.
My brain, where my brain's at it though, is at with it, which is probably wrong, but is that Balin's gonna go and he's gonna essentially bring the sun out from the Morta stuff, and then now we are going to have a very powerful being that needs to be defeated. And we're going to have Thrawn. So we're going to have our spiritual side through the Balin bringing Homeboy out. And then we're going to have this huge dark side character that they have to like destroy, like this embodiment of evil. And so when you get down to like where that might go in terms of a film series, like we might have in the first film, we might defeat Thrawn, but then we haven't defeated the actual like sun, the dark side, like God or whatever you want to call it. Like that is going to be out. So that might lead to more films, and obviously like things you can have like a confrontation with Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker, and Ezra Bridger fighting this being. You know what I mean? Like there's amazing things
back in this universe though, right?
But that guy, the son is going to be, he's on Peridia. That temple is on Peridia.
Sure.
So if that does happen, then Peridia probably becomes the place he steps out into, and that becomes his domain at that point. I would think something to that effect.
So we get a whole new Star Wars franchise based entirely out of that galaxy. Has nothing to do with this galaxy.
I wouldn't say it has nothing to do. I would just say he's there, and then now like it's not a place you can just go and attack. Like as we've seen, like how to get there is. No,
I'm saying the stories out of that go linearly inside that galaxy and explore other worlds, other planets, other systems in that galaxy.
Story itself is things coming from the unknown to attack the known.
See, that's okay.
So some of it would be out there, but I do think it would have to come. Like Thrawn isn't staying out there and just being like, look, I got this whole new playground. They could have that. I'll have this. Thrawn's like, nah, I'm going back.
No, I understand that. I understand that will populate things back in the galaxy we know.
Yeah.
But I think there are a bazillion stories to be told in that galaxy that are completely contained in that galaxy.
They're not going to do any of that, Santa. All right.
Come on.
I'm sorry.
Why not?
I'm going to tell you right now, none of that's going to happen. They're going to say it's a dead universe and it was an old universe that used to exist. And then you get a Marvel series one day that takes place 1 billion years before this. And that's what actually happened over there. It's a dead universe. It's all dead. It's all just rocks. There's nothing there but some rock lobsters, and Thrawn wants to leave. Nothing happened. There weren't any other interesting space pirates or blah, 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 or a city to go to. There was nothing out there. It was empty. It's dead.
I don't want
it's like
that.
Mars.
That's where I think you are kind of missing the subtext is when he goes to that Mortis temple, and if he brings that, no. I mean, I'm saying if he brings the force being out, the sun, who knows what comes with that? It might just be him by himself, but he might have, you know what I mean? He's got magic, and we had a movie where Palpatine just like did doobie Star Destroyers. You know what I mean? Like
I get that we get drawn from the Chiss space, the unknown. We get this. We get the Balin. We get the sun. We get whatever else comes out of this to create other angst within the galaxy that we know. I'm good with that. That's fantastic. That's wonderful. But just as I would love to see a whole spin-off and stories told within Chiss space that are contained to Chiss space in the unknown, I would love to see stories that are contained to this other galaxy where we find out there are other worlds. Like, you know, who's to say that there's not another world there that's like Coruscant?
Who's imagine the marketing for this one, Jason? Coming to Disney Plus this summer, Chiss Space, right?
But here's the thing to be like real about on the creative process. The core worlds is millions of worlds. Why? So when you go and you say, "Oh, one's out there and it's far away," to us, what's the difference of it just being a core world we never heard of?
Because
that's what Andor did. It created some pretty cool planets that exist in the core world you never heard of.
Yes. Yeah, so what I'm saying though is it's not like they went and like they exhausted it. Like, oh, we did it all. Like, we said there's only 12 worlds and we've all done all 12 worlds. So when you get down to it, like all it becomes is like a plot hurdle that now it's far away.
No, it opens up whole new, because there's no history as far as like the prequels, the original trilogy. Anything that happened
history there, yeah. But I mean, anything can happen there too.
Yeah, we're not tied to anything that Palpatine had anything involvement in. We could have things that happened 50 years ago that while Palpatine was doing his thing, or 40 years, 30 years, when he's doing his thing in the Star Wars galaxy, the whole other things were happening there. As Rev Kev brought up, like a Yuzan Vong kind of situation. There could be a whole different scenario over there.
Again, the problem with the Yuzan Vong, what's the other one? What's the other one? Like what's the other one? The other Yuzan Vong.
Yeah, the people with the funny shaped heads.
Yeah. The thing is like that's a plot. That's like a plot thing. Right. Oh, there's a threat. But then what's interesting about it? Then you're like, I am Yuzan Vong, and it doesn't translate. Like none of that stuff becomes anything viable. The Gris, thank you, Jedi Joe. Yeah, like the Gris, that stuff, it doesn't really become like a viable concept by itself. It's like they have to create a Gris character that is actually like, wow, what a great character. And then the Gris become like important. They become more possible in that. But also like I don't Jedi Joe, like with the Grisk, I do not believe for 1 second they're going to introduce something in a publishing initiative and then wrap it up on screen.
No,
the Grisk will be wrapped up in there. Point, so that's why I say we never get.
This is my point. They can develop a whole different antagonist. There could be a whole different thing going on out there that have nothing to do with anything that's been in publishing, in any movie, any series, anything else. And just develop an entire thing out there that doesn't have anything to do with what's going on here. They're not tied to the history. They're not tied to the other events that happened. They can develop anything. They're completely open.
But they have that even in the core thing. Post Return of the Jedi. Yeah, the Republic isn't unified. And some of these planets aren't falling. Like they could still do whatever they want. Like what I'm trying to say is creatively, their hands aren't tied. The creative issues that they might be having isn't because their hands are tied with anything related to the core worlds. It's just that they don't have any ideas. You know what I mean? That's what kind of like bumps me out.
But we're just not talking about the same things.
Okay.
So it's fine.
And we are talking about the same thing. I'm just telling you they're not going to do any of that.
Yeah. I think we are talking about
that's going to happen.
But I mean, no, but the whole thing is like, so if you go and you make that, so all of that is great. Okay. Like you could do whatever you want, 1,000 miles away, right? You could do whatever you want. But if it doesn't matter to the main thing, then it doesn't matter. So it has to eventually matter to the main thing.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
That's the problem. It's a big problem whenever something's not related to a Skywalker. People can't hang. When it's something new, people have like a really, really hard time. It has to have the illusion of mattering to the main thing. Just like, like if Thrawn gets found and all the people, but it doesn't threaten the actual like things that we know and love, then it doesn't matter. Just like we don't care what's going on in some rando country that isn't the United States, but once it's our interest, then we're more interested. When we care a little bit more.
Way to bring in Christmas is in 2 days.
Oh no, Christmas is in 2 days.
It's in 2 days.
That's exactly what you were just talking about, though, right?
Yeah,
because they're on we
think it's funny, but nobody really cares that Christmas is in 2 days for those people at all.
There you go.
Do I get another tree in Fortnite?
For like 200 million plus people? Christmas is on Sunday. Christmas Eve is tomorrow.
Yeah,
for over 200 million people in this world. Do we care?
No. The actual audience has been following this different story throughout their life of what Christmas is, so that's what it is to them. Like, and that's where this gets like complicated. No, I mean, I understand what you're saying though. Like when you go out there, you can do whatever you want. Like you're not tied to any of the politics that have been established in the core or whatever issues or whatever happens to like be. But I just don't think that you go and you bring back a force god. And Balin's doing like Balin isn't doing, what I want to make out here better. Balin cares where he came from.
Yeah, so I get that part. I'm just saying, okay, all that happens, all that comes back. I'm absolutely. But there's a story to be told out there. And it goes back. Royal Farm Boy put it in the chat. The Zepho. That's who I was trying to remember. There's all kinds of markings and stuff that indicate the Zepho. There was a mention from Balin that this was a big the Night Sisters. This was there were thousands. This was a big place. Yeah. And something happened. So you could go backwards, tell the story leading up through. It has nothing to do with what's going over here. It had everything to do.
I can't wait, Santa. I can't wait for MSNBC to complain about the Zepho. You know what I mean? Like
my thing is like Independence Day. Whenever I think of those kinds of things, like the Grisk and so on, is like think about like Independence Day. How interesting are the aliens? Not at all.
Not at all.
It's when they're just the invaders. They're just like plot fuel. That's pretty much it. And like with that kind of stuff, that's why whenever people ask me like, "Is the Grist going to come?" I'm like, I hope not. Because
see, Jason, the problem here is Santa is a plot fiend. He needs more plot. He loves plot. He loves plot. That's why he loves the Lord of the Rings. And we don't care about plot. We care about characters.
Gobbles that plot up.
Irrelevant.
Christmas dinner.
Irrelevant. I care about a person in jail, what they're doing, how they suffer, how they react. I don't care about the thing to get the key, to break out, to do the whatever. That's plot.
Yeah.
And what Santa's talking about is to get the planet with the new baddie, and they have an agenda, and these characters are going to that's all plot. It's irrelevant. So character can happen anywhere. Character can happen at your desk. There could be a real interesting Star Wars show about just some dude who has to work at a desk, which we've seen elements of in Andor. It's some great stuff. And then we've seen it poorly executed in Mando season 3. So execution is really what we're talking about here. Man.
I wasted.
I'm running out of time. Time.
Santa, call in.
I know. There's a lot.
Let's do a 6 hour.
No, I can't. I've got meetings all afternoon, and I worked extra all this week so I could take this time right now. And I would love to keep doing this, but one of the problems is I don't make jack off of YouTube, and I make just pennies off of Patreon, and it supports this as a hobby. And I love it. This also supports me learning technology so that I could do better Santa visits. Like with this fantastic background I had made this year, I commissioned this to be made. And
am I like your brat kid training? Or like when I'm a really brat, you're like, this kind of helps me. Okay.
Like, oh my God.
I just took a photo inside your garage for my background, Santa. So you know what I mean?
But there was news about the Acolyte that came out. Bespin covered it, and also Outlaws. So I wanted to touch base on Bespin's stories that he has posted during the holidays, just because Bespin's a good friend. He's a good friend of the channel. He's a great guy, and people should support content creators like Bespin, like making Star Wars, because that gives us stuff to talk about. Even if this dude makes me crazy sometimes, it's great.
But
He's
me
a good
or
friend.
Bespin?
You.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Bespin.
That's
No,
fair.
you.
That's fair.
It's great. 'Cause, no, there's all kinds of things I want to do, but it'll just chase us down rabbit holes. We're out of time for rabbit holes. We got 4 minutes left before I got to jump.
Okay.
So I just wanted to touch base on the Acolyte story and the Outlaws story, and I'll ask you to just give me the brief TLDR of those stories. What's going on with the Acolyte? What's the news that came out?
What was the story? I don't know because you're behind. So I'm like living in a different timeline than you right now on that front. It happened and I've forgotten it.
I do not have an Army veteran cap, Martin. So let's see. The Acolyte had reshoots this month.
Okay. Yeah.
That was an old story. So the Acolyte went into reshoots. That doesn't mean that it did poorly, or it doesn't mean anything like that.
No, it was almost assuredly planned reshoots.
Yeah. And it's still on schedule to be the next big thing that we get.
The big deal about it is just that it's the first back to business Star Wars shoot of anything that says we're moving forward after the strikes.
And then there's speculation. There's speculation that it could involve Plagueis.
The reshoots? No.
No, the story itself, Acolyte.
Yeah.
It could involve Plagueis, or it could involve Tenebris, Plagueis' master, right? Could involve some of those folks if they want to bring those into the timeline. It's 100 years before the prequels-ish, right?
Yeah.
And if it's, say, 100 years before the prequels, way too early for Sheev Palpatine to be involved in any way, shape, or form. In my opinion, it's way too early to even have Plagueis involved. Maybe a hint of Tenebris. As 100 years, Plagueis wasn't that old. They could change the story. It could be. But I think
I think they will. I'm not. Yeah, I doubt we'll even see. I doubt Tenebris will even be the screen name used. I'm gonna guess that all of that probably gets thrown out. Just my opinion on it is that I doubt it. I mean, I know that Leslie Headland liked the EU and read the books, but there's not a lot to really get attached to from that era either. Like there's like the Plagueis novel, which is I think is a good. I like James Luceno a lot. I think he did a good job with what he had to work with at the time. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
maybe at the time.
George Lucas is giving him things he needs to write and all that. I think it's a competently written novel, but yeah. So it's like the whole thing would be like, number one, Leslie Headland could have read 400 Star Wars. I don't know how many there were, but tens of Star Wars books and never read that one. And then now it's like, and it's like, it doesn't matter. So, but I do think that the Plagueis thing obviously will become something, but because if they go, like, what do they keep from George Lucas? Do they keep the like alien race stuff? If they do, and if his whole thing is I could stop people from dying, it would make sense that Plagueis doesn't age, that he has the secret. If you believe him, if they're going to go that way, then he might have been the Sith Lord in the end for 200 years for all we know. Like,
so that's a fantastic introduction for a teaser for a future show as we get closer to the Acolyte airing, because I've got less than a minute to go.
Okay, I'll shut up.
But no, I think that's a great place to put a pin to say, hey, come back as we get closer to the Acolyte releasing. These are some thoughts. There are possibilities. There's a lot to think about.
If it does happen, people should understand that it's a mystery thriller. So Plagueis doesn't come in the first scene. He comes in the last episode. If it happens, he would be a last episode reveal. He would no way be a first one. That would be genre breaking, probably.
Well, I think somebody
he comes last, Jason.
I think somebody put it really well. All you have to do is mention oh shoot, what was his Damask Holdings? All they have to do is put in some mention of Damask Holdings, because Hugo Damask is Plagueis's real name. So you could put like, they're going to have something at Damask Holdings. So now you've alluded to Plagueis without Plagueis being in it. He doesn't even need to be born, because it could be his.
That's very light. I think
The
that's
scent of Hugo Damask, right?
Yeah,
From Star Wars
exactly.
Esquire. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
Right.
Hugo
Walking
Damask.
through the mall and somebody goes, no.
He buys space Twitter. His name is Hugo Damask.
Very good. There's
Like
there was another brief story, and I'm sorry, we are flat out of time, and I've got meetings. There's another story about Outlaws. Outlaws is the game is supposed to be released this year. So there you go. You got that.
Yeah, Disney said it was coming out late in 2024. Then they amended the statement to say 2024. Do you believe it was accurate or not? It's up in the air. You could read either way and bet either way you want, and you're as viable as the next prediction. I apologize for being so short here at the end. We had a lot of discussion today. It was nice to get back on a live stream, to get back talking about Star Wars. And I'm hopeful that going into 2024, we're able to focus on the actual content of Star Wars. I would love to talk about the shows, the stories, the things, and some of the leaks. There's some leaks and rumors that Bespin and Jason have been working on that could be very exciting. And I'm aware of some little, the elves are always involved with the making of the toys. And they're aware of things that are going on over at Hasbro. And the elves tell Santa things from time to time. And I think there's some exciting Hasbro news coming out in 2024. So what am I looking forward to in 2024? Shorting the stock. Oh,
sorry. I'm looking forward to some exciting Hasbro news. I'm looking forward to some exciting Star Wars stories, and really getting into the content of Star Wars again, and hanging out with my friends, talking about Star Wars.
And I'm looking forward to a Black Series blow up doll.
Hugo Damask. Hugo Damask. I need shorting the stockings, Jason.
I've got to cut it off there. And we've got tons of things to talk about, but I do have the Mike Porter dad joke. And I saw he just put it in the chat. It says, what do you call the place around the fireplace that went to the dark side? Now, I put it in chat so you guys can see the answer. It's called the Hearth Vader. Oh,
man,
Hearth Vader.
That one's a hard one, man.
Yeah,
that one's a hard one.
Thank you, Mike Porter. Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks for all your support. Jedi Mike, Skywalker's Academy, Royal Farm Boy, all of you all that have been in the chat. It's been great to hang out with you. It's good to meet. And I see Nick has been in the chat as well. We had Bespin in the chat earlier. Meg, thanks for joining briefly. It's been great to get to meet Martin and spend a lot of time talking about my
Martin.
Yeah, and there's so many folks that we could go back and say hey to. I appreciate Jason. Thanks for hanging out. Rob, thanks for jumping in. It's always great. Yeah, no, you add some great perspective to the discussions. I always love what you bring to the table. So thank you for that. All of you, thanks for hanging out with me today. And until next time, my friends, I'll just leave it here and say, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you always. Bye-bye.